Hi, everyone. I'm Lily. I am so happy to be here on behalf of my team. I'm sorry they couldn't be here. So I know you've been working with Allen Hall PR for some time, but we are very excited to continue all the great work that they've been doing over the past few years. And all of the things that you have been discussing in this meeting are things that we've been thinking about a lot. We have a lot of ideas in terms of promoting these events that are going on, spreading AAUW's mission in any way that we can. And I would love in any way I can to help with creating, implementing some of these social media best practices. That's something that my team is very skilled at and would love all the experience we can get. This is a presentation my team and I have worked on a bit recently, and I was hoping they'd all be here to help contribute what they contributed. But so we're going to just talk about some of the basic social media practices, what they are, just go over like what is the best practice for each platform, because they all are a bit different. And you have to excuse my slow computer. It's a lot of tabs open. But we'll just start out with what social media really is. I think a lot of people, they know what it is, but it's an interactive platform where content is created, distributed, and shared by individuals on the web. And its purpose is to provide users with a rich experience, dynamic content, scalability, openness, and collective intelligence. So it's going beyond just posting and making whatever you're doing interactive and something that's going to make your audience, the people who are viewing your posts, think and want to engage more, get to know more about your organization. And why use social media? So social media is a tool that can be used to generate a positive image of an organization. You're controlling the narrative of what's going on to your social media, controlling the content, and organizations could spread messages in real time about news, upcoming events, ongoing programs, and their mission. About 3.2 billion people use social media every day. That's a lot of people. That's, as the presentation says, roughly 42% of the world's population. And as more platforms come out, more people are using it. It's something that has become a part of everyday life. And the last paragraph down there explains how a recent study found that 81% of female millennials said that social media is the best way for a brand to reach them. And that's talking about millennials, but that also goes well beyond millennials. There's a couple other statistics in that article. Social media has become one of the biggest platforms for spreading an organization's news and messaging. And Instagram, I know a couple of the branches have Instagrams. I'm sure you guys have seen AAUW of Oregon's page. My team is working on that right now. So Instagram is a free online photo and information sharing social network. It has over 1 billion users. It's one of the biggest platforms for social media. And its age demographic tends to lean a little bit towards a younger demographic, but that's not to say that everyone doesn't use it. And so Instagram is a very unique platform because there is usually a lot going on all the time with it. Same could be said for Facebook. It's very different from LinkedIn, but Instagram is a great social networking and brand tool for nonprofits. They can use to share information with people who are already involved in their mission and reach new audiences. And so I'm going to talk about some of the best practices. These can be used for Instagram and Facebook. I'll touch on a little bit why Facebook has slightly different practices, but some of these will be general for all platforms that AAUW would use. And I said trends here because something that people are really passionate about, and that is all about AAUW's mission, is social, political, and legal activism. That's huge on social media right now. People are very passionate about getting involved, spreading all the information that they can. So that is something that AAUW can really use to promote their image on social media. And so a practice that I think everyone who has a social media account should be doing is following and engaging with organizations that hold AAUW's values. And in parentheses, I said repost the stories down there. That's something that I can get into in more detail, but that basically is just an example of how you can build your network outwards a little bit and be reaching new audiences is by liking other organizations' posts, reposting their posts onto our stories. And I will explain how to do that. But that is a way for other organizations to know what AAUW is doing, but also their audiences as well, who are following, engaging with their content as well. And so some of the best things that we could post on AAUW's accounts are about its members and its history, its ongoing programs and scholarships, events, and statements about current issues. The photos that should go on Instagram should be high quality and design graphics. I put the word consistent down there. Georgia and I talked about this. Using a similar color scheme and easy to read short sentences, words, pictures, graphics are the types of posts that do the best on Instagram and on most social media platforms. They're easy to read, they're easy to digest, they're visually pleasing. Using AAUW's colors is great. They're great colors, and you can make all sorts of graphics using those colors. And then, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the other best practices. So post interactive content to encourage engagement. That is something that you can focus on in captions when doing posts. I think I've seen it on a couple of the branches' Facebooks, especially asking questions, saying something like, what kind of content do you want to see from us? Or something about something that's going on right now, like, how did the latest election make you feel? Getting people to really engage with your organization and your content by showing them that you're not just putting stuff out there, but you really want to hear from them as well. Using hashtags is a great way for increasing engagements on your post. If you were to post a hashtag with gender equity, for example, there's something over, I think, 5,000 posts on it. So if people were to click on that hashtag on another person's post, they will likely see yours as well. Using visuals to drive website traffic. That's where these graphics come into play that my team has been doing. It really just helps to boost the image of professional standards. Using clean words, using clean designs, it helps to make an organization seem legit, basically. If you use really blurry, non-high quality photos, it makes it seem like it's a spam account. And people won't really think that the organization is legitimate, basically. Check in daily and respond to questions. That goes hand in hand with best practice number one is if you're going to be asking these questions, if you're going to be inviting your audience to engage, making sure that you're engaging back, liking their comments, answering any questions that they have. Make it easier for followers to donate. That also extends to taking action. I know that that's something that AAUW social media content often directs their viewers towards is taking action. So you want to be able to make the links to be able to do that very accessible for viewers. And I can talk a little bit more in depth about that. Georgia and I were talking about this earlier today. Actually, you can't embed a link into an Instagram post. You can put it in your Instagram bio. And so you would say something like, click the link in our bio to take action. And again, that's something I can clarify more later if that's needed. Facebook and LinkedIn are great for that because you can put the link directly in there and the person can just go and click on it straight from seeing that post. I think that schedule social media content in advance is a great idea. That's something that my team and I do, just brainstorming what could be the next post that goes up on the page, just always having something in your back pocket to make sure that you're keeping your audience engaged. And I can share some of the ideas that my team and I had for ideas. We were talking about doing a series on 2-minute activism and just talking about the initiatives that AAUW National has talked about and how you can be a 2-minute activist. So that was something we were talking about, basically creating templates for them and posting them a couple days apart. And then measuring the effectiveness of your strategy. Georgia and I spoke about this in our first meeting as well. If your branch has an Instagram account or a Facebook account, you can actually make it a business account and you can see how many people are viewing your posts. That's great information to have because you can compare those to certain posts and you can see, last week we posted about a social justice initiative that was going on and it got a great range of engagement. People were commenting, people were liking it. And then let's say you post another social media post about something completely different and it only got 1 like. You'll kind of start to get a feel of what your audience really wants to see. Instagram stories. So I said I would get a little bit more information about this in here, and I can also try and do a little tutorial if anyone wants me to do that. Instagram stories is a feature that allows users to post videos and photos that disappear after 24 hours. Sometimes even myself, it's easy to think, well, why would I post that if it's going to disappear in 24 hours? But it's one of the more popular features that's out on any social media platform or IG stories. They have 50 million daily active users. People's attention spans are shorter. They like being able to click through things really quickly. So they're very popular. And so it's basically just another way to communicate things very quickly. You'll often see organizations making a post on their main Instagram page and then reposting it to there's some people, including my friends, who will only look through their Instagram stories. So making sure that you have a little bit of engagement on both of those is great. They're also just slightly different from posting a regular Instagram photo because you're able to have a little bit more fun with it. I want to say you can post a lot of other people's own graphics or anything like that because it will basically give them credit for it and people can go to their content. Who knows, maybe they'll start to repost your content, whoever's content you're posting, and it disappears. So it's not really saying it's originating from AAUW, but it's aligning with AAUW's mission, its values, and it's something that we think our audience would enjoy seeing. And so we'll just touch on Facebook a little bit because a lot of those practices are going to be great for Facebook as well. It's a social networking site that makes it easy for you to connect and share with family, friends, organizations, and colleagues online. One of the best features about Facebook for an organization is that allows you to form groups with a common interest. People are very active in their groups. The app allows you to post pictures, share updates, repost videos, and post temporary stories. I have to say, I don't think a lot of people use Facebook stories, but going along with those groups are events. You can create basically an entire group for an event and you can make it public or private. That is a great place to start with promoting the fundraising, auctions, initiatives, anything like that. You can make it a public event. You can explain what it is and people can basically say, I'm going to go to that, click going, and it'll send them little reminders all the time that they have an event coming up. That's a wonderful way to make sure that people are staying updated on your fundraising initiatives. And LinkedIn. So I'm excited to talk about LinkedIn because it is honestly different than Instagram and Facebook. There are a lot of similarities in terms of how you drive engagement, but the content that goes on LinkedIn should be slightly different from Instagram and Facebook. LinkedIn is a social networking site designed specifically for the business community. The goal of the site is to allow registered users to establish and document networks of people they know and trust professionally. So the two biggest words in there are business and professionally. That's something that you always need to keep in mind when you post on LinkedIn. And I'll go to that next slide. basically, there's a lot you can do with Instagram and Facebook in terms of reposting other people's content, posting fun memes, or just a lot of different information at once. Sometimes it might be more serious, sometimes it might be more fun. LinkedIn, you should try and remain professional. So the best practices on LinkedIn are following and engaging with other organizations that hold AAUW's values. That's a big one on LinkedIn because people are constantly looking for networks to join professionally. And that includes organizations. And one thing that I also really wanted to talk about was the way that AAUW needs to rely on its current members to help really boost not only LinkedIn, but all of the social media platforms that they're using. If AAUW Oregon members have any of these platforms, they really need to be following AAUW, all the branches, engaging with their pages, especially on LinkedIn. If AAUW members have LinkedIns, they should be updating their profiles. They should be liking the posts from AAUW Oregon or the branches, because on LinkedIn, if you like a post, it will be posted to your entire network's page. So that is a really big deal in terms of spreading engagement, spreading awareness about AAUW. The initiatives coming out of AAUW is getting its current members to be liking and engaging with all of its content, because it will then be spread to their followers, whoever they're engaging with on LinkedIn. And what to post on LinkedIn: clear, informative graphics or images, announcement about new hires or board members, blog posts pertaining to AAUW's mission or ongoing programs, community celebrations, events, volunteer or educational events or opportunities. Information and links to scholarships, grants, or ongoing programs. So really, when you post on LinkedIn, you want to think about, is this going to be something that someone sees as a network? It's, it doesn't mean you can't have fun on LinkedIn, but it's definitely a little bit more professional than the other social media platforms. And I also wanted to talk about just specifically marketing for events. When you're making a graphic, that's something I can talk about on Canva. You can make graphics on Canva. I'm sure my team would love to make a graphic on Canva for any of the events going on. But if you're posting specifically about an event, you want to say who, what, when, where, why. What's going on, what is this for, when is it, where is it? All of the information needs to be really easily acceptable or accessible for someone to find. And basically you can say, here's the link where you can find more information about this. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Make sure that they know that they can come to you for any more information if they're interested. Posting reminders about the event. That's a big one. You don't just want to post once. You're going to want to post the minute the plan is finalized, about a week before the event, and then the day before the event. And you can even put a story up, a few hours before it's supposed to happen. Really promoting those events. Have AAUW members repost and share to their networks. That goes hand in hand to what I talked about with needing members to be engaging with the content that's going up on these pages. Everyone who has social media platforms should be liking these posts about events coming up, sharing them with their networks in order to really cast that net outwards and be able to get more people on board and engaged. And that's also a great way for more people to learn about AAUW in general. I mean, events and social media marketing and all of these things that we're touching on are necessities for recruitment. And Facebook event pages, I know I touched on that. We can also go over that in a separate meeting. I can talk about that, just setting up a Facebook event page. And this is the last slide. I just wanted to say a little bit about email marketing, because it's a lot of similar practices with what I just talked about with social media. So if you don't have a newsletter, especially if you don't have a newsletter, I think a save the date email is an absolute must. And if you do have a newsletter, I think it's great practice to send a separate email for the event. once this plan is finalized, I think it's great to say this is an upcoming event. And then once registration is open, however, that's going to be made open if you need to sign up for it. If there's going to be a Zoom link, that should be a separate email. And then email again a week before the event and then the day before the event. So it's very similar to those social media practices for promoting events. And that is the last slide. I know that was a lot of information. I am going to head out. I want to say thank you so much